Well, I'll tell you, we gotta have a funeral. And it isn't for a person. It's for Kmart's. September 3rd was the last day. Tits Up. Closed the store, out of business. Yeah, I felt sorry for the employees because they were still real enthusiastic right up until the last day, and to me that's sad. But I'll tell you, Kmart's, when I was a kid, I grew up near a river and we all had boats with like 10 horsepower engines, fish screwed around like that. And they opened up a Kmart's. We thought it was Woodhaven, but I think it's a Trenton mailing address downriver south of Detroit. And my neighbor took me over there one day when she was going to do some shopping. And if it was possible for a young kid to have a panic attack, I think I had one. Because I could not believe the amount of fishing lures they had for sale. It's just unbelievable. I mean, I was so excited as a kid. And then I continued on, went through school, went through high school. And then I dropped out of college for a year. And that would have been the fall of 1976. Yeah, I was going to junior college at the time, but I don't know, my girlfriend wouldn't let me squeeze her tits and I got depressed, so I quit school. I thought that was as good a reason as any. And I applied for a job and I got hired by Hart's Mountain, the pet company. Now back then they were big players in the pet industry. Our main customers were Kresge's and Kmart's. And not only did I have the dry goods, but I had a live section in the truck. So it was super interesting. We'd go out the airport and, we'd order our stuff in advance. And I'd have hamsters, lizards, parakeets, and tons of tropical fish. And I would load all that stuff up into the live section. It had a generator on it. It was climate controlled. And then I'd load all my dry stuff up. It would be the seeds, pet dishes, all that kind of crap. And, I'm not kidding you. That was I wouldn't say the best, certainly it wasn't the best job I had, but I'll tell you it was the most fun. I had an overnight route once a week. It's just great. Drove all over hell. Once in a while I'd have to fill in for a guy across the country someplace, and it could be anywhere, Missouri, Florida, and I'd be down there a week. It was just a really good, fun time. So that lasted up until the next fall when I went back to school. But I'll tell you what, that fall, which would have been 76, I had my boss call me into the office and he asked me, told me that I had a special delivery I had to make. And you know what the delivery was? The delivery was taking a whole truckload full of liquor up to Kmart's World Headquarters in Troy, Michigan, to give to the buyers. The buyers were the guys that, vendors would solicit to carry your product. And I took up a whole truckload of liquor. I mean, there must have been, I don't know, 1,500 bottles or something like that. And I had to wait in line 90 minutes before I could give it to them. Kmart's World Headquarters was so beautiful. And there was like a big circular driveway. And I'd have to wait to give these guys a fantastic gift. But it was really happening. Super attractive women at the desk. Just really professional. And back then, you wouldn't have thought in a million years Kmart's was going to go down. That property's been vacant for years now, and here it's just a shell of what it used to be. Now, even back then, we were aware of buyers working for Kresge's and Kmart's. We knew what gravy jobs they were. They were very high-paying jobs, and we also knew what kind of gifts they got. And at the time, although we didn't deliver to Walmart's, it was explained to us that it was the opposite of Walmart's. Being a buyer was a shitty job. A better job was being a store manager. And I think back now and I look at the philosophies of Kmart and Walmart, and look who won. You wouldn't have thought that. I mean, it was just so shocking. So now, what I've learned through this whole thing, and I'm sure other people too, is that management. Look at Sears. The Sears I used to go and get my school clothes was the biggest Sears in the world. Lincoln Park, Michigan. That looks like a bomb shelter now. So what I've learned is that management gets old. These car companies dodged a bullet. But once you got a guy hanging around for 20 or 25 years and you're paying him a bunch of money, these guys don't really seem to have the fire to be up on top of new technology, blah, blah, blah. I mean, if you'd have told me as a kid one day that Kmart's was going to be out of business, Sears would be close to going tits up, and that I'd have to order all my fishing lures online, I would have told you were full of shit. And you would have had to explain to me what online meant. Crazy. This has all happened in like 40 years. So that's my spiel on Kmart's. The writing was on the wall there. Those buyers were a bunch of graft mongers, gift takers, lazy fuckers. Didn't do shit, and they ended up facilitating that company, and for other reasons, an exit out of the game, out of business.